This unique place is known to many, but not everyone has been here. Nestled on wooded hills not far from the center of the Cossack glory city of Chyhyryn, there lies a marvelous natural and historical site, embodying the unconquered spirit of Ukraine. At first glance, this place, woven with shady ravines and cool lakes with small white houses scattered on the hills hiding under the vaults of old apple orchards, does not differ from other places in Central Dnieper region. But it's far from ordinary. As soon as you step onto this wonderful land, you immediately feel its magical power, marvel at its enchanting beauty, and enjoy the tranquility of the soul. In early March, when the snow begins to melt, under the canopies of the ancient forest, magnificent messengers of spring, snowdrops, flare up like white pearls. Such a snow-white carpet is nowhere else to be found on the expanses of the flatlands of Ukraine, except perhaps in Crimea. In March, the local forest is filled with the singing of birds, the buzzing of bees, the sense of the new season, and the joy of the rebirth of life. This is a truly sacred place, and this enchanting flower, symbolizing the aspiration for a new life, has become the emblem of Holodny Yar, a place that will amaze anyone. Holodny Yar is located almost in the heart of Ukraine, on the right bank of the Dnieper River in the Cherkasy region. It's a complex system of ravines and gullies covered with dense forest, spreading over an area of 30,000 hectares. In the shady ravines of Holodny Yar, regardless of the heat outside, it's always cool and fresh. This feature of Holodny Yar is explained by its own microclimate, thanks to which plants not typical for these latitudes thrive here. For example, this bright blue flower, Siberian squill, in other forests of Cherkasy you won't find it. It prefers coolness, as its name suggests. Siberian. And this lush beauty is its relative. This is the common squill. It's also blue, but its color is not as vivid, and instead of two flowers, it has a whole garland attached to one stem. Without delay, everywhere along with squills, the red bud blossoms. It covers all the shaded space under the forest, and it's impossible to walk without stepping on a flower. Like snowdrops, it has a honey scent, attracting bees and bumblebees. In the spring palette of the redbud, violet colors prevail. But amid the uniformity, white inflorescences peak here and there, forming small white colonies. Wandering through the ravines and hills, you can't help but notice the garlic smell in the air. Where does it come from? It's all simple. These green leaves are to blame. This is bear's garlic or wild garlic. Despite its abundance, it is considered a protected plant, and picking it like snowdrops is prohibited. In a month, bear's garlic will start blooming abundantly, filling the forest with a new, intriguing aroma. In the forest, one can occasionally encounter such fascinating trees whose trunks inexplicably split into two branches near the ground, only to merge again at a higher point, forming a single trunk. How is this possible? It seems like a wonder, doesn't it? The forests of Holodny Yar are not only rich in natural beauty, but also renowned for their history dating back to ancient times. In terms of the number of unique archaeological, historical, and scientific sites, Holodny Yar takes a leading position in Ukraine. Throughout the woods and surrounding fields, burial mounds rise, remnants from Scythian times and later epochs. There are more than 80 of them, each varying in height. Some mounds even have surrounding trenches. These ancient artifacts crafted by human hands can be touched and observed firsthand today as you wander along their slopes. Unfortunately, many mounds have been plundered by treasure hunters, but there are several that archaeologists have managed to study, revealing interesting discoveries. Remnants of several ancient settlements surrounded by earthen ramparts have been preserved in the forests of Holodny Yar, and their height and width are truly impressive. The largest of these is the Motroninsky settlement, dating back to the Scythian-Sarmatian period from the 6th to the 4th centuries, covering an area of over 200 hectares. It is included in the list of archaeological monuments of international significance. This settlement is surrounded by two defensive ramparts, outer and inner. The length of the outer rampart exceeds 4 kilometers, and its height in some sections reaches 22 meters. A deep trench is dug on the outside of the main rampart. Somewhere within this rampart, there are likely underground passages, but time, a faithful guardian of antiquity, has diligently concealed the entrances to these caves. Today, all that remains is to speculate about their location, although a century and a half ago, people could freely enter the underground chambers. Count Babrinsky, who explored this settlement, wrote about underground cells and churches with partially preserved ancient frescoes on the walls. Today, in the center of the ancient settlement, rises a 19th century architectural monument, the Trinity Church of Motronin Monastery. Even before the Mongol invasions reached this land, monks had founded the Trinity Monastery in this location. Its history is woven with continuous wars during which it collapsed and was rebuilt several times, reconstructing itself anew. Currently, nuns reside on its premises, cultivating the surrounding land, which is atypical for an archaeological monument. The dense forest hills and ravines of Holodny Yar have long served as a sanctuary for the inhabitants of nearby villages from enemies. Not far from Motronin Monastery, during the time of Hetman Bohdan Khmelnytsky, the Sich was established, and in the 1730s it became a refuge for Haidamaks, acquiring the name Holodnoyarska Haidamatska Sich. The local forest became the main base for Haidamaks for decades. It was from here that the largest uprising against oppressors of the Ukrainian people began, led by Maxim Zhelezniak. Here, near the monastery walls on the shores of Haidamatska Pond, Haidamaks consecrated their knives and sabers before embarking on their sacred mission, the liberation of Ukraine. Their traditional gathering place was Sklake, located beyond the gates of Motronin settlement near a large oak tree. On its sprawling branches, Haidamaks hung a large copper cauldron, the bell of which could be heard throughout the region. The Ukrainian Revolution did not bypass these forests. From 1918 to 1922, under the banner of the Ukrainian People's Republic, the insurgents of Holodny Yar operated, forming a powerful insurgent partisan organization, the Haidamak Regiment of Holodny Yar. They had a 15,000-strong peasant insurgent army, whose fighters called themselves Cossacks Haidamaks, and their leaders, atamans. One of the insurgents' battle flags was black, embroidered with a silver thread, bearing the slogan, "Freedom for Ukraine or death." Right here, the insurgent greeting, "Slava Ukraini," "Glory to Ukraine," was initiated, with the response, "Heroyam Slava." During World War II, partisans and UPA-affiliated groups operated in these forests. Holodny Yar stands as one of the brightest chapters in the liberation struggle in Ukraine. It is an example of how a special people, though small in number but strong in spirit, successfully fought against a much stronger enemy. A century later, the genetic code of Holodny Yar, so to speak, lives in the hearts of brave Ukrainians. With the onset of the Russo-Ukrainian War in memory of those glorious sons of Ukraine, several volunteer units named Holodny Yar were created. One of the best combat brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine was awarded the honorary title, the 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade Holodny Yar, which has been defending the state sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine since the beginning of the war in the east of our country. It was the soldiers from Holodny Yar who captured the legendary trophy. A whole column of enemy military equipment, including tanks, Grad missile systems, Kamaz trucks, flamethrowers, and cannons. A deep bow and gratitude to the heroes in whose honor the immortal slogan Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, has always and will always resound. We believe in the armed forces of Ukraine. To preserve this corner of nature and ancient history, on January 1st, 2022, by the decree of the President of Ukraine, the National Natural Park Holodny Yar was established. This is another victory of caring individuals. Even now, during the ongoing war, Ukrainians are not only defending their lands from enemies but also thinking about preserving the unique nature and historical past of their country. Several objects of local significance within the Natural Reserve Fund have been created on the territory of Holodny Yar, the reserves Zubivsky, Kholodnyi, Sublime, and others. These are natural areas where unique early spring flowers thrive, such as the folded snowdrop, oak tulip, long-leaved fritillary, and dwarf irises. When the snowdrops bloom, usually in early March, thousands of people come to see this phenomenon, which poses a threat to such a small population. Galanthus, such an elegant name in Latin for the snowdrop flower. They are the very first to push through the cold snow, heralding the arrival of spring. These delicate flowers uplift the mood and provide a sense of warmth and the coming of a new time, and how sweetly they smell. It's a pity that video cannot convey the fragrant aroma filling the forest. Its intoxicating scent attracts bees and hungry bumblebees emerging from winter. The local snowdrop has other interesting features. It is not an ordinary snowdrop but a folded one. It received its name due to the shape of its leaves. If you look at them, you can see longitudinal folds, giving the impression that the leaf has been folded several times. Snowdrops don't grow individually. They spread over the years, forming lush clusters called clones. Over the years, some flowers deviate from the standard, exhibiting mutations. On one clone, you can find flowers with not 3 petals but 4, 5, and more. There are even unique flowers with yellow capsules, which are very rare. In the 1990s, this unique population was on the brink of extinction, but thanks to passionate enthusiasts and students patrolling the forest, they managed to preserve this beauty from poachers and traders. The folded snowdrop is a red-listed species, and significant fines are imposed for its collection. Yet, there are still intruders who try to profit from the beauty of the forest without thinking about the consequences. People, don't pick forest flowers, don't trample on them, admire them in nature, and enjoy the beautiful harbingers of spring. After all, a plucked flower will soon perish and won't bring you the joy and amazement of being in harmony with nature. Let these messengers of spring remain here even after us, so that our children and grandchildren, visiting Holodny Yar, marvel not only at the beauty of nature but also at their ancestors who managed to preserve this snowy paradise.